Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Locked in Stitches. How are we all doing? Oops, I had the wrong screen up there. Typical, typical, typical. Okay, let me just make sure. Stitches, okay, that is working, which is a good thing, which means I can then go to this. Okay, how are we going? Welcome to Sunday afternoon stitch along. As always, I am Julie Hall, and I thank you very, very much for having me in your house this afternoon. Beautiful afternoon here. It is sun shining outside so much that I've actually got my all of my blockout blinds closed so that there's not too much glare coming into the room. But a beautiful spring afternoon. I think it's about 20 degrees here, which is just lovely. So I hope you are having a wonderful afternoon as well. Please feel free to drop in and say hello. And this afternoon, we are going to work on the next piece in our stained glass panel. So loving how this is going, and I had planned to have the next piece already stitched so that all I would need to do is put on the last piece and we'd have it all sort of put together. Well, life never comes out that easy, of course. So, and I'll show you a very funny example of that as we stitch along. But let's come over to the machine, and what I've done is I've done the first 3 stitches. So the first stitch just holds down your fabric and shows you exactly where you are going to place the iridescent embroidery film or Mylar. The second stitch holds down the Mylar, and then the third stitch does the background stitching. And for me, I'm doing my backgrounds in black. So that's all I've done, and that's just because I've joined 2 designs here together, and it would take sort of coming up on 3 hours to stitch this if I'd left that, and I really didn't want you guys to see that. As it is, I'm going to recommend that after we've gone through about 10 minutes of the gold work that you guys run away and play on your own, because I don't want to bore you all to death. So now I'm up to starting the colour stitching. And remember, the joy of the stained glass is all about doing the is all about how it joins together. And I can see we've got Victoria Latham Banks with us. Thank you for joining us, and Trish Callum. I'm betting it's probably more than 19 degrees where you are, Trish. But what we're looking for here is that traditional sort of stained glass look. So I am using 4 different shades of green. I'm using 5 shades of yellow, and I did have a couple of questions on what my shades were. So I'm going to actually come through and lay out so that you can see. And you guys know me, I love a good poly thread, but I also love using up what I've got. So these are my light to dark shades of yellow through to orange. And then I used, where was the brown that I used? So that was the dark brown that I used for the center of the sunflower. Okay, and back to the machine. Now, one of the things that I am loving with the new machine is I can set up my threads. Well, and isn't it funny? It's like calling a new baby when it's, already a year or so old. I'm coming up on a year since I picked up this little beauty. But one of the things that I'm loving is being able to do, I'm just going to twist this around, a setup. So this is the thread that I'm currently using, and I can then come through and set up, ready for my next colour. So yesterday I thought I would be very, very smart and get the stitching done on this. And, you know, a good couple of hours later, let me show you what I've got to show for my efforts. Good afternoon, Lisa. Thank you for joining us, my darling. Is my happy helper with you, the Miss Eloise? So, this is what I stitched yesterday. Looks very, very familiar. And I got all the way up to the last colour and right here. And I was just out of the room. You can see that thread got caught in the bottom and it ripped the entire piece out of the hoop. Now, I had actually thought about going in and just matching it up. And I knew that I would get that probably about, look, 96, 97-ish% right. And in anything else, that would be fine. But because it is all about the match-up and those satin lines, I decided I wasn't willing to risk it. So instead, here we go again. Now, while this stitches out, what I recommend is that you then take the time to cut around your piece that you're going to stitch, and as well as that, we are then going to come over here and maybe change our thread colour. Okay. So, how's everybody else's week been? I've had a great week this week. I got wonderful news. The course that I did just to solidify my skills and abilities in training came through, and I'm all approved. Okay, where are we? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've got my double-sided tape, which I'm hoping will last me to the end of this project, and we're just going to come and now the trick to this is to put the tape where you will not be stitching. So we know that we're only going to stitch in like that far in. So you want it close but not too close, because there is nothing worse than stitching over the glue and gumming up your needle. And then look, I have actually thought about it, Lisa. I've thought about doing like a series of, you know, maybe 5 different flowers or something, just to show that people could then put as a as an artwork set. I like to do at least one stained glass piece each year. But it is a wonderful thought, and I really do appreciate that. Now, a couple of people have asked what they could use it for. So what I wanted to do was just show an idea. Like, I mean, I like them as wall pieces. I like them downlit because I've got a really horrible dark hallway. And I think that these almost give it some light. But we had somebody who did this when I used it as a project at a retreat this year, and they did they actually framed theirs. Cushion, it would make a brilliant cushion. The other thing that I think they go really well on, and let me just find, this will take me a second to find the right source here. Windows capture. Okay, here we go. So this is a picture that I found on Pinterest. Now, this is obviously a panel piece, but I could so see, you know, finding dramatic colours of fabrics that work with, doing stitching on machine, You Are My Sunshine, which I know I sang that to my children, and then using our stained glass panel in the centre. And I think that black stripping between the blocks would play into that really well. So yes, I have been we had Edward come home last week, which was lovely, after his time away with his siblings, and we had a lovely dinner then. We're doing something weird for dinner tonight, though. We are doing, very deliberately, breakfast as dinner. So because the kids are now working part-time and sort of go out in the morning, we don't have family breakfasts the same way as we used to. And Nancy Cook, good afternoon. So instead, we decided we are going to have, and Grace was complaining that she doesn't get her father's egg and bacon rolls anymore, or muffins. So we are going to do breakfast as dinner. When we finish here, I'm going to make pancakes, and then Edward's going to do egg and bacon. Now, let me just come through here. Okay, so that is all of our greens done, and now we can get started on our yellows. So let me just get the first couple over here. And I was very proud too, for those of you who watched, how close I was to finishing off a spool of thread. I did actually get that finished on Friday. Now, the other thing I want to point out, I don't know whether you can see it really well here, is just the overlapping pieces of film that I've got here. And I'll show you what I mean. So I had 3 pieces overlapping there, and that's actually okay. I've got a lot overlapping here as well, because I have just used what I've got. I have not opened a new piece of Mylar while I've been doing this project. Instead, I've just been making use of what I've got. it's quite interesting. When I start the year off, or when I start planning the year, I normally start with techniques. And, I think, the different techniques that I want to share with you guys, the different things that I want to do and that therefore I think you guys might want to do as well. And one of the things, when I've looked back at the list so far this year, one of the things that I've realised is that I have missed cut work. So I'm going to need some inspiration on a cut work project that we can possibly do. Now so this is just a little bit over 28 centimetres tall, and but it's narrower. And what you will find, so this has got 60,000 stitches in it, but that's over a really long space. And you can see what I mean when I was talking about how on the black background the stitches go in straight directions, but on the flowers and the leaves you can see how the stitches are curved. And that's been very deliberately done to again add more dimension to what we're doing. So has anybody been working on any stitching yet, or this week? I'll show you in a minute my my projects from this week. After this, I'm going to do all my family phone calls for the week. I haven't heard from my dad's been away for a couple of days, so I need to make sure he's gotten home okay. My sister and I, we have a great habit of, she calls me 1 or 2 nights a week when she's in the car on her way home. And we catch up, we chat, and it's a really good way of doing things because, she's a busy woman. I've got things going on as well. And we both kind of like that family time to be family time. Now, what I love is this yellow is almost a fluoro yellow. But you just don't see that from what we've got here. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was, if you joined us on Thursday night, this is my this is my single hooping on the massive hoop machines with an extra topper piece here as well. But I'm going to do probably about 7 designs altogether. I've got 6 so far. So I actually just wanted to show you what I've got. But let me come through. Okay. So what I've got is, friend asked for an Aussie one, so this is going to be our Aussie Santa sack. I thought I need one in lace, or, you know, snowflakey, lacy sort of a look. And then I love a good paisley. Some rather cute Jacobean birds. And then I've got two colouring in ones. So I've got the holly leaf and I've got the Christmas candle. So I'm hoping to get a chance to stitch all of those this week. And good afternoon. We've got Trish G. Oh, love to do cutwork detail on a shirt collar. Oh, that's a good idea. How many of you fall down the rabbit hole that is either Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest? When we do the next colour change, I'll show you some of my rabbit hole this week. Now, the other question that I had that I thought was interesting, okay, we've got Cynthia Pridham with this as well. Sorry, Cynthia, it's my eyesight. Cynthia Pridham. Thank you for joining us. I do just love how the different colours just come into play sort of all between it. And Robin Wheeler's with us. Robin, my darling. Now, Robin, you are the lady, tell me if I'm wrong, who framed hers, who framed her stained glass. We would love to see a picture if you get the chance to pop it up. But great days are here. School goes back tomorrow for the last couple of weeks of my daughter's schooling. And when I say last couple of weeks, I reckon they've probably only got 2 weeks left and they just don't understand that. Poor little Gracie, she's bemoaning today. Her life is so tough, the poor girl. She's had to work from 9 till 5. That poor girl, it's, you know, she's just so upset at what people want from her. And of course, her brother's no help because he does 12-hour shifts. So the lovely argument over the dinner table of what's worse. And I think my husband was ready to yell at both of them and tell him he knew what was worse. Okay, let me see. So one of the things that I keep on coming back to is on my Pinterest boards are these recycled denim projects. And I just can't help but think, for instance, this one here. I saw this and I thought, how cute would that be to do with, and loving that this person's left the pins in. They are my spirit animal, sort of with made lace or with made cut work. There are so many beautifully cool things that people do. In my next life, I'm going to be a person who can wear this. That's like my life goals. But that was one of the ones that I saw. What an interesting take on cut work. Now, if I wore those, my cellulite would be poking out of all of those bits. But other than that, I think it's a gorgeous piece. So, looking for some inspiration for what we're going to do next year. And guys, if there are things that you are interested in, let me know. I love, love, love to hear your ideas on what you want. I love doing a good sort of block of the month, something that we can build up over the course of a year. One of the things that was suggested to me, and I don't know if it's something that interests people, is doing it not only as a block of the month, and for those who don't want to digitize, having it there as a digitized project, but also having it as a project where I show you guys how I digitize it block by month, block by block as well. And I guess selling the artwork for it so that those who want to can digitize their own. So I don't know if that's something that interests people, but it's one of the things that I'm thinking around. Now, you're getting ready to vote next weekend. I do not care how you vote, but I am passionately in support of everybody voting. I am so excited that it's my son's first time to vote. He's 19 this year. And my daughters, although they are not yet 18, have already enrolled to vote so that it's all done for when they turn 18. Oh, thanks, Trish G. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, for us, what that means, because Cameron works nights, is that I'm taking Cameron out this week to vote for the first time, and I'll probably vote early as well. My father was always that person who stood at the front of the voting centres and handed out the flyers for the people he supported. And I can remember going one year and, you know, not going up and saying, "Hi, Dad," but him, young lady, come here and I'll tell you how to vote." And, you know, it was just a little shtick sort of thing that we did. And, okay, sir, I'll vote however you tell me. And yeah, I always remember that one. But the year that he found out that I voted a different way to what he votes, he was, and look, you know, it was a one-off and I was voting for change as much as anything else. But he was so upset. You know, he's losing his memory, but bloody hell, he remembers that. He remembers that I was the person who ruined the carpet in the old house. So he's been stirring me for the last couple of weeks. You know, do you need me to go and vote for you? I'll, you know. Loving how this is coming together. And it's such a happy design. Like, you can't be sad at sunflowers, can you? It's just one of those really beautiful sort of pieces of nature. I'm trying to think of what else I've got on this week. I've got a nice quiet one, actually. I've got a couple of meetings that I've got to go to tomorrow. So I've got to be up early because Edward and I are sharing a car at the moment. I'll have to drive him to work and then be there to pick him up afterwards, which is fine because my meeting's on that side. One of my meetings is on that side of the city later on in the afternoon. Okay, now let's see if we can do better this time. Everyone's fingers crossed. We are not going to stuff this colour up. Oh, sorry, Robin. Obviously, I stuffed that one up. I have concerns that the reading that I do for pleasure has taken on a rather dark turn. I've read about 3 or 4 different psychological thrillers over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, I'm starting to think that maybe my darling husband should be a tad concerned. And we've got Kathy Chillingsworth is with us as well. Hi, Kathy. How are you doing? Okay. Don't want to be superstitious, but my finger is on the stop button. Now, not next week, but the week after, I have, I've got in our class guide, I'm going to show you how I then would put this together and do the border quilting around the edges. The other thing that I love about the stained glass is it looks kind of, look, it looks good, but it doesn't look as good as once we've added that final metallic thread to it. That's just me making sure the bulk of that doesn't lift up. Should I have done it with my finger thing on? Yes, I absolutely should. Now, I'm almost hesitant sometimes to say some of the things that I'm working on because there's a freaky little thing happening where a couple of times I've said different things that I'm working on, and because I'm a single entity, I work a lot slower than, say, other businesses that have lots of people. And it's, you know, things have been, you know, copied or whatever, or reimagined. But one, I'm now getting also ready for my Christmas projects. And one of the Christmas projects, I just bought myself off eBay a pull-along shopping trolley. And I'm going to reimagine it into thread storage containers, into hoop storage solutions, and even our rotary mat and iron hat all ready to go off to a class. Okay, so now we are at the point of adding in whoopsie-days. Okay, so what I now want to do is come through and pull away the excess film. Look, you don't have to be totally militant about it, but certainly from where those stitches are going to join up. Now, I'm not going to save these teeny tiny little pieces. If you're a person who does their own Christmas baubles and things like that, stuff them into a plastic Christmas bauble and you've got a great little trinkety sort of a thing, but that's not me. And then we are going to take our piece and we're going to start lining up. Now, I don't want to press too hard for what I hope will be obvious reasons. Okay. And then I'm going to send my hoop back so that I can do this a little bit more substantially. So the reason I don't want to press too hard is because there was nothing supporting that. Now that I have the back of the hoop supporting, oops-a-days, all you can see is my fat head. Now, nothing wrong with contorting as we go. And that's one of the reasons that I like using the finger thing. But if I can get it generally into place, then that is a good start. After I've done that, now another question I've had is, can I use Roxanne's Glue Baste It instead of the tape? Look, you can. In my personal experience, what I've found is the Glue Baste It doesn't give as good a grip to the thickness of what we're doing. But I also know that different people use things differently and quite possibly are better at it than I. Now, I generally do like to slow down the satin just a bit. And of course, we're still using the King Star. And the only issue now, and yep, that's just catching that up there. And the only issue that I've had with the King Star is it getting knotted around the top of the spool. And there really is just such zen to seeing this match up and take away on, like, it's, yeah, I don't know, I'm a nerd girl. It doesn't take much to amuse me, I'll be honest. So the way all the stitches are done here, is so that they cover over themselves. So when we came up here, we stopped, and then this line covered up that stitch there. And Cindy Pridham's with us. Good afternoon, Cindy. Maya, I'm sorry, I am so bad at names. Between the long-term COVID and the chemo, it really did my head in when it comes to names. Good afternoon. Oh, it would, at Lisa, as a Christmas scene, it would be absolutely stunning. And it just gives so much definition. The other thing that I've thought about doing with this is actually stitching it on organza and backlighting it. Like those little electric tea lights or something. Now I don't know, I've got a knot coming through here. I'm just waiting to see. And I'll try and if I can get it to come through. I always wonder where the knots disperse themselves. Okay, no, I think we can say it's cleared itself. And I must say, Lisa, you are now inspiring me. Now, this is a good place to stop for a second because what I want to show you, can you see there that we're really probably a little bit on the short side? Now, I'm not too concerned about that because there's a couple of things that I can do to overcome it. So the first one is I can come back a couple of stitches here. And again, I like to show you the techniques that I use to fix my stuff-ups as much as I like showing you the techniques to get a good result. So what I'm going to do is just come through, and I just want to push that up just the teeniest bit. And often that's enough to fix any issue. The other thing that I could do is when I had finished stitching, I could come through and simply satin stitch on top of that. Okay. So then we just go on and on, repeating, lining up those satin lines and stitching until we get to the end of our of the design. Now, the satin in that satin stitching is going to take about 47 minutes. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to call time there, and I will post a picture when I've finished that off to show you exactly just how great it looks, because I'm loving it. I think it's a great technique, and I'm really thinking about what I'm going to do next week. And that's what I love about this group, guys. You guys inspire me probably more than possibly would I inspire you. And I love that. And I appreciate you all so much. So do not forget to get your letters of the week. I'm about to go and take off 2 more off the website. So pick them up before they go. They are under our free designs. Okay. So until next time, have a stitching day, guys.